Cimoooooooo! Welcome to Tech Tuesday, a weekly series where we discuss some awesome tech cards as well as help make you a better player. This week's card is Enemy Controller, an amazing old school card that's going to help you school your opponent. Enemy Controller is a quick play spell card that has two separate effects, and when you activate it, you get to pick one of the two. The first effect is that you get to target a monster on your opponent's side of the field and change its battle position. And then the second effect is that you can tribute one of your monsters to take control of one of your opponent's monsters until the end of the turn. Now, why is Enemy Controller a good tech card? Well, let's look at some of the best ways we can use Enemy Controller to our advantage. Now, let's start with the first effect. The first effect of Enemy Controller allows you to switch the battle position of a monster on your opponent's side of the field. Now, that might not seem like a big deal, but you could do something as simple as switching Dante from defense to attack mode, which is f***ing amazing! Now let's move on to the second effect. The second effect has a lot more application and can be used in a lot more combo-oriented way. So for example, since you're tributing a monster for the cost of Enemy Controller, this card can trigger the effects of Burning Abyss monsters as well as Cliffort monsters as well. Cards like Cliffort Carrier, Cliffort Helix, and pretty much all of the Burning Abyss monsters that have effects when they're sent to the graveyard. So not only are you able to take control of an opponent's monster, but you can also trigger your own monsters as well if you're running one of these two decks. And since Enemy Controller is a quick play spell, you can use it disruptively like a trap card, so you can prevent your opponent from going into any synchro plays, Xyz plays, or just any other combo plays that they might be going on. So for example, say you're playing against Clifforts and your opponent has a face-up carrier with a sacrifice equipped to it. And say they already searched out their Cliffort disc, so 99% of the time, if they have that set up, they're going to want to tribute for the disc on their next turn. So when their turn starts, you can flip up your Enemy Controller, take control of their carrier, and they're not going to be able to tribute it off for their disc, so you're preventing them from just going completely off. Another really cool thing about Enemy Controller is that it's really effective in certain mirror matches. So for example, say you were playing in a Burning Abyss mirror match, and your opponent has any face-up Burning Abyss monster, and say you have a face-up Graph. You activate your Enemy Controller, tribute off the Graph, and take their monster. You trigger the Graph to special summon any Burning Abyss monster from your deck, then you can overlay into Dante, and by having Dante out, you can detach a material, but just make sure you detach only your material, because then that way they won't get the effect of their monster until they deal with your Dante. Another way you can use Enemy Controller is if you take control of their Dante, and then you activate Rank Up Magic Astral Force to overlay your CONSTELLAR PLEIADES on their Dante. And that's just going to put them in a horrible position. And finally, one more little trick you can do with Enemy Controller. Say you're playing any deck that exceeds into rank 3s, rank 4s, whatever. And when you get your second monster on the board, your opponent throws a Flying C onto your board. Well, the cool thing is, you can use your Enemy Controller to tribute off Flying C and take control of any one of their monsters, and then say if it happens to be anything that's of the same level as your monsters, you can end up exceeding with their monsters, and then you'll still have an extra monster on board, so that's pretty insane. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Enemy Controller. I think this card is incredibly nutty at the moment. The interactions that it has with Burning Abyss and Clifforts are really underutilized, and I just think it's a really all-around solid card. It has been since its release, and I think it's time for it to see a comeback. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. We'll see you next week.